All right, so the big question, 22 karat gold coins versus 24 karat gold coins. Which one should we buy? We're going to take care of this right now. All right. Better not. Come on. Okay, so one of the primary considerations in buying physical gold and specifically gold coins is gold purity. Now, this is a little like debating Coke versus Pepsi in that a lot of the input is based on personal opinion. But for me, I don't have a strong preference one way or the other because I know that there are objective pros and cons to each. So for this video, I grabbed a few popular examples of each to give a visual comparison. And I'm going to be mentioning a few international considerations as we go along, but it's important to note that I live in the United States. And that means that I have certain tax implications and there are recognition considerations specific to the country that are going to factor into your buying decisions. So keep that in mind. So I know I just mentioned that I don't have a strong preference between 22 karat or 24 karat, but I do have some preferences on these coins that I grabbed. The coins, of course, are the Canadian gold maple leaf, the American gold buffalo, and the American gold eagle. So we're going to kick it off with the Canadian gold maple leaf. Now, this is the coin that really started the whole 24 karat gold bullion game in the first place. It was introduced in 1979. And prior to that, the only real game in town was the South African Krugerrand, which of course was a 22 karat coin. So like the Krugerrand, the maple leaf is government backed, that it actually has a face value of $50. Now the Krugerrand does not have a face value. I actually think that's pretty cool, but we'll keep that for another story. This coin is 4 nines fine, so 99.99% pure, and it is, as it says, 1 ounce of pure gold. And as you can see, this is a coin that has to be kept in a capsule because it's 24 karat gold. They will show handling marks. They're very easy to scratch them. They're easy to ding or dent them. So they really have to be kept in capsules at all times. Now, 6 years after the introduction of the Canadian maple leaf, the U.S. Mint introduced the American gold eagle. This is a 22 karat gold coin like the South African Krugerrand. It is 91.67% gold, and then the remaining 8%-ish is split between copper and silver. This coin is also government backed. It also has a face value of $50, and it also has exactly 1 ounce of pure gold. So the gold content in this coin is the exact same as the gold content in the Canadian maple leaf. It just happens to have some silver and some copper in there to make it a stronger coin to resist wear a little bit better. That's why I'm brave enough to hold this without a capsule. And then finally, I have the American buffalo, or the gold buffalo, or the American gold buffalo, whatever you want to call it. This coin, also produced by the U.S. Mint, was introduced in 2006. So relatively speaking, it's more of a newcomer than the other two. So clearly this is kind of America's answer to the Canadian gold maple leaf. It's also 4 nines fine, where the American gold eagle is 91.67% pure. And if you want an apples to apples comparison between coins, this coin versus the American gold eagle are very similar as far as specifications go. Both have a face value of $50. They're both produced by the U.S. Mint. They both have the same diameter, it's 32.7 millimeters. So they're very similar coins. You're going to be able to get them at all the same places, and really the only difference here is going to be that 24 karat versus 22 karat. And these are undoubtedly the most popular gold coins in the United States. So regardless of whether you're looking to buy your very first coin or you're buying lots of gold coins, these two are probably your top contenders. So if you had to pick one over the other, which one would you go with? Well, it depends on who you ask. Most of the YouTube channels are going to tell you they prefer the gold buffalo, and that's the 24 karat coin, and people just prefer 24 carats. But if you were to look at production figures from the U.S. Mint, you'd see that the American gold eagle is actually far more popular than the American gold buffalo. And because of that, it's going to be the more recognizable coin. So when you go to sell these coins, if you go to sell these coins, the American gold eagle is going to be more liquid. Now typically at a local coin shop, they're going to cost you the same amount. When you go to sell them, you'll get the same amount, more or less. Now, there might be a little bit of an edge towards the American gold eagle. The buffalo will have a higher premium if you buy them online, and the American gold eagle, sometimes you'll find that you'll get more of a premium back for them if you sell them to a local coin shop. The reality of the situation, though, is that both of these coins are fantastic options here in the United States. You will not have any trouble selling either one. So if you're buying in the United States and you're selling in the United States, it really might come down to something as simple as whether or not you want to keep the coin in a capsule, whether or not you want to have to worry about it potentially getting damaged in, in minute ways. At the moment, I prefer the buffaloes. Now, normally I've had more eagles than buffaloes, and when the design change hits in 2021, I will probably go back to eagles. It's really not a huge thing in terms of aesthetics. I just have kind of stopped knowing that the design is changing. I figured I'd wait until the new ones come out. Now, if you don't live in the United States, or there's a chance that you're going to be selling outside of the States, you need to pay attention to tax laws in different countries and regions, because a lot of countries tax coins that have a lower purity than 99.5. So while the tax implications and the capital gains implications are the exact same on these two coins here in the United States, if you take them outside of the US, that all changes. Canada's a really good example. Any gold coin with a purity rating below 99.5% is going to be considered what they call scrap gold, and it's taxed. Where the 999 or 39s or 49 coins, 24 karat effectively, do not get taxed. And they're not the only country to do that. So where the American gold eagle is more popular here in the United States, outside of the States, it's a little bit of a different situation. So all of these same considerations apply to the smaller versions of the coins. So I personally think it's a good idea to have some of each. I talk about this in other videos, but this 1/10 ounce size carries a pretty big premium. It's usually about 25%, or at least it is right now. And to me, that's too much to pay for premium over the spot price of gold. So this 1/4 ounce comes down quite a bit. It's more like 12%. And where I spend most of my time, this is a very sought after coin. So as I've talked to my local coin shops, they always buy these coins. And really, it's not so much a matter of 22 karat versus 24 karat. Really, it's not a matter of that at all. It's more a matter of price. So whether I was looking at 1/4 ounce American gold eagles or 1/4 ounce Canadian gold maple leafs, it wouldn't matter. I would just talk to my local coin shops. I would ask them which ones they prefer. In my case, it's the American gold eagle. So that's what I grab. Now you'll notice that I'm not showing a fractional buffalo, and if you didn't already know, it's because they don't make them. In 2008, there was a full size run of the proof set. So technically there are 1/10 ounce, 1/4 ounce, 1/2 ounce gold buffaloes, but they were only released one time and they're proofs. So honestly, when it comes to fractional gold, I really don't think that 22 karat versus 24 karat really comes into play in the debate. I think you go for the popular coin. For me, the reason I get fractional is because they're highly liquid, they're easy to sell, and so I want to make sure that I have the one that's going to be the easiest to sell. Now, I do, again, try to get a mix of each, but I tend to buy the 1/4 ounce American gold eagle. If the gold buffaloes came in the fractional sizes and they were easy to get a hold of, that would be my mix. I'd get American gold eagles and American buffaloes. Now, if you do have your heart set on the 24 karat gold coins, there are a couple of things to consider. First, this Canadian maple leaf is explicitly called out in a certain tax law that says if you sell 25 or more of these, I guess 25 ounces of these, then you immediately have a 1099-B. That's a form that's submitted to the IRS to make sure that you pay your capital gains taxes on them. So while they're a great option, and I would say personally that I think potentially they're the best looking gold coin there is, you have to be a little bit careful about how many you're going to stack here in the United States, because in the sale, there is an implication. Now, if you're going to be buying fewer than 25 coins, the Canadian maple leaf is going to have a lower premium. I find them right now at the moment to be about $80 over the spot price. I find an American Gold Buffalo to be about $100 above spot price. Now in a sale here in the United States, I'll get a little bit better spread than that. I will make back more than $20 on this Buffalo if I were to sell it. The Maple Leaf to me is a great option if you want to have a little bit of international gold exposure. The Maple Leaf's great. And if you're from Canada, you don't even have to make this decision. Go for the Maple Leaf all day. It's fantastic. You're not going to get taxed on it. It's your local favorite. It's a gorgeous coin. Easy question, easy answer. In the UK, you've got the Britannias. In Australia, you've got kangaroos. So again, you need to make sure that you're paying attention to your local favorites, what's popular, what's produced where you live. And here in the United States, buying a Philharmonic or a Kangaroo or a Britannia or any of these other series like the Queen's Beasts, the Swans, a lot of those are going to be similar to the Maple Leafs. Now the Maple Leaf is going to be a little bit more popular here, but they're a similar story. All of those 24 karat gold coins will have, if not all, it'll have a lot of the same pros that the Canadian Maple Leaf will have for you here in the United States. But I'm a big believer in buying the most popular coins you can find, and these are the most popular coins here in the United States. I would probably throw a Krugerrand in this mix if I had one on me, but these three coins are going to be the primaries: the Canadian Maple Leaf, the Gold Buffalo, the American Gold Eagle. And I personally spent a lot of time deliberating between these three coins in the beginning. And if you just want an objective opinion on which one to buy or recommendation on which one to buy, I would start with the American Gold Eagle because it's the most popular here. But I definitely say the American Gold Buffalo is a great second option, and especially if you're looking for a little bit of variety, they're good coins to go back and forth between. If these are your two choices, though, the American Gold Buffalo and the American Gold Eagle, the difference between the 22 karat and the 24 karat is really almost a red herring, because people who buy gold, and probably the people who are going to be buying the gold from you, they really don't care. So you have three things to consider when you make the choice between 22 karat and 24 karat. First, the popularity. You want to make sure that you're getting the most popular coin. Second is the premium or the price. You want to make sure you're not overpaying. And I'd tag on taxes to that because in certain states and certain countries, that's going to come into play as well. And then third and finally is your preference. Don't get too caught up in that debate between 22 karat and 24 karat. I think the American Gold Eagle versus the American Gold Buffalo is a great example of how it seems like there's a big difference between the two, and really there isn't. Choose the one you know is popular, you can find for a good price, and you know you like. There's no way you're going to go wrong. Okay, thanks again for watching. If you want to hear more about gold, make sure you subscribe. And on your way out, please hit that like button. I appreciate it. Have a good day.